Hi, friends. So today we are going to be talking and starting our conversation on U.S. holidays. So today we are going to be focusing on Veterans Day right now. Now, does anyone know what Veterans Day is? No, that's okay. We're going to be reading two different articles to help us learn more about Veterans Day. And each day this week, we will be going over a new holiday as well. So first, I do want to take a look at our graphic organizer, which is on the screen. And as you can see, we have first US holidays, because that is our big concept. And then we have what we're talking about today, which is Veterans Day. So now I want to think as a class about what we should add to our graphic organizer or what we want to add to it. So raise your hand when you do have an idea. When is Veterans Day? Great example. So when is Veterans Day? Because I definitely want to learn when it is. All right, does anyone have another example? Who are veterans? Another great example. Who are veterans? Because we need to know who they are. In order to know why we celebrate, we need to know who veterans are. And I want to add one more example as well, which is how do cities celebrate Veterans Day? Because maybe different cities celebrate different ways, and it's always good to learn how they celebrate. All right, so let's get into our first article, which is called Fly Our Flag for Veterans Day. So as you see, it has a picture of here with a soldier in front of the American flag. So let's start it. November 11th is a special day called Veterans Day. Every year on that day, we think about men and women who are veterans. Veterans are people who have served in the U.S. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard. Now, after reading that first passage and listening to it, let's look back at our graphic organizer and see if it answered any of the questions we had put down. So yes, it does answer both when is Veterans Day and who are veterans. So let's focus on when is Veterans Day. Now, does anyone remember the date that the article said? Yes, November 11th. So then November 11th. And we celebrate on that day every year. And now, who can tell me who veterans are based off the article? We can look back as well. So as it said, let's read again. November 11th is a special day called Veterans Day. Every day on that day, we think about men and women who are veterans. Veterans are people who have served in the U.S. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard. So that answers our question of who are veterans. So we'll first put veterans are both men and women, because it's not just one or the other. And we'll also put serve in, what was it again? Oh yes, the U.S. Army, comma, Navy, Air Force. Good job. Who can remember the other two? Yes, Marine Corps. And finally, the Coast Guard. Correct. So perfect. So we've answered our question of who veterans are and when is Veterans Day. So let's look back at the article. So veterans work to help our country in many ways. Some work on ships to keep our oceans and coasts safe. Some were doctors or nurses who cared for people who were hurt or sick. And some veterans flew planes or helicopters. People across our country have parades to honor veterans, fly our flag, and thank our veterans on Veterans Day. So here is one example of how people can celebrate by having parades. So let's go back to our graphic organizer. and added. So by having a parade. Yes, it did answer another part of it. Let's look back on it. So let's see. They said, have parades and thank our veterans. That is one way we could also just celebrate Veterans Day is by thanking veterans as well. So let's add another bubble and put thanking our veterans. Perfect. All right, now let's look at the other article that we have and see if we can learn any more fun facts about Veterans Day. That way we can fill our bubble a little bit more. So this one is just called Veterans Day, and it does have two pictures on here that I would like to show you at first. So this first picture is a World War I veteran holding the American flag, which is really cool. And he's holding it during the ceremony at the Vietnamese Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. And now this picture is, oops, let me click it, there we go. So this is at the Justice Clearing Site in France, which is where the Germans and the Allies signed the agreement to end the World War I. So that is really cool to see a picture of as well, because I didn't even know what it looked like. So you learn something new every day. So let's start this article. So every year on November 11th, people in the U.S. celebrate Veterans Day. The holiday honors veterans or people who served in the U.S. military. The day honors those veterans who died while fighting in a war. To celebrate Veterans Day, some cities and towns have parades. Veterans from the area may march in the parades. Sometimes people visit cemeteries on Veterans Day. People may put flowers or flags on the grave of veterans to honor them. So this also provides a few more examples on how we can celebrate Veterans Day. So let's go back to our graphic organizer and add more. So who can remember what it said about how we can celebrate Veterans Day? Yes, it did say by having a parade, which we do have, but if we look back, it did add a little bit more about the parade. So let's look back on it. So here it says some cities and towns have parades. But right here, it says veterans from the area may march in the parades. Now that is something we didn't get to learn in our last article, so I think we should add it right under by having a parade. So veterans may march in the parade. Perfect. Let's look back at our article to see how else they said we could celebrate Veterans Day. So yes, parades, and let's see, sometimes people visit cemeteries on Veterans Day. People may put flowers or flags on the grave of veterans to honor them. So that is definitely another way to celebrate Veterans Day. So let's add it on here. Perfect. So visiting cemeteries of veterans. Oops, silly Miss Alexis spelled those two words wrong. And then it did also include that people can put flowers or flags on the graves as well. So we will add that under here. People may put flowers or flags on the graves. All right, let's continue reading our article. Veterans Day used to be called Armistice Day. An armistice is an agreement to stop fighting. Armistice Day was created to remember the end of the World War I on November 11, 1918. The first Armistice Day in the United States was in 1919. So Veterans Day has really been going on for a very long time. Armistice Day became an official national holiday in 1938. And in 1954, Armistice Day was renamed Veterans Day to remember soldiers from all wars, not just World War I. So as we learned, originally we celebrated it to end just remembering the soldiers that fought in World War I. But as we have learned, World War I was not the only war that the United States have been in. So renaming it to Veterans Day is allowing them to celebrate all of the soldiers from every war, not just World War I. People in Australia, Canada, France, and the United Kingdom also honor veterans on a day in November. Canada and the United States call the holiday Remembrance Day. On November 11th, people across Europe remember the end of the World War I. So that was the end of this article. So let's go over our graphic organizer and just review some things that we have learned about Veterans Day. So, Veterans Day. We learned when is Veterans Day, which is November 11th. We learned who are veterans, and who can remind me who veterans are again? Yes, so men and women who served in the U.S. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard. So it really does celebrate every single person that served in the military. And let's just add that, just so we know that this just means the U.S. military. Military. Perfect. All right. And finally, how do cities celebrate Veterans Day? So as we learned, there were many different ways to celebrate Veterans Day, and our two articles provided 3 different options. So who can tell me each 3? Yes, by having a parade, thanking our veterans, yes. And yes, visiting cemeteries of veterans. And as we added underneath, so some veterans may march in parades as well, and people can put flowers or flags on the graves of the veterans as well. So that is all that we are going to cover with Veterans Day today. And tomorrow we will be looking at a brand new holiday as well. Thank you guys.